Hello mate, how's it going? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. As always, I do hope that you are doing well, friend. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, which of course is the daily series here on the channel where I reflect, look at, try and pick the bones out what's been said about Chelsea across global footballing news media. Give you my thoughts on it for whatever it's worth, but more importantly, ask for yours. In today's video, there's an article on The Athletics trying to figure out what's going on with Nico Jackson. Of course, Bayern are not triggering the clause to keep him. What will Chelsea do with him? Are they going to cash in elsewhere, or is he going to play for Chelsea? We'll find out a bit more from Simon Johnson, Seb Stafford-Bloor. Also, of course, the big story around Chelsea will have continued to be the next manager. Team Talk have done an article by Graham Bailey speaking about Porto's Francesco Farioli. Very, very interesting candidate indeed. He's got an outstanding 74% win percentage. 74% win ratio? It's not a ratio because it's percentage. Anyway, you know what I mean. Maybe a ratio. Absolutely, of course, insane job over there. Very, very interesting to get into the article because he's been spoken about a little bit, but not as a major contender. We know there's some major contenders like Marco Silva, Andoni Iraola, who of course is wanted by Manchester United as well to succeed Carrick, but apparently he wants to live in London. That's why Palace were trying to sniff around him and convince him to join Crystal Palace to replace Ole Glasner. You'd imagine he would prefer to coach Chelsea over Crystal Palace. At least you'd hope so these days. And then we're hopping over to courtoffside.com. Mark Bruth writing an article on Xabi Alonso would accept the Chelsea job on one key condition. So it's going to be a ding-dong of a video. So thanks for joining me. Thank you for liking and subscribing on the YouTube, following and 5-starring on your preferred podcast apps simply by searching Football Therapy Podcast. Thank you for your follows and 5-star reviews on the podcast platforms. Let's get into it. I know people often forget to like and hype, but it does help me out in the deep dark abyss that is the YouTube algorithm, so thank you for liking the video and dropping your hype points down here somewhere. Right then, let's have a look at this then. On The Athletic, what is next for Nicolas Jackson? With Bayern clause not triggered, will Chelsea cash in elsewhere? There he is. Could end the season, of course, not just with a Bundesliga medal, but with a Champions League medal. Chelsea, of course, made a lot of money out of the loan fee. These guys write the following. For the second successive year, Nico Jackson will go into the summer transfer window, not knowing where he'll be playing next season. Jackson is returning to Chelsea, to begin with at least, having spent his campaign on loan at Bayern Munich, with a loan that was completed on deadline day. If you remember, he was like all over the gaff, jumping on the plane, asked to come home, refused to come home. We ended up recalling Mark Gue. It seems like a lifetime ago now. The Athletic reported in September Chelsea agreed a loan fee worth 16.5 million. Big boys. But with the conditional obligation for Bayern to make the transfer permanent set at 65 million euros at the end of this season. Earlier this week, Bayern sporting director Max Eberl confirmed the Bundesliga club will not be triggering that obligation, as it did not come to a great surprise. It's an option, not an obligation. It only became an obligation, I think, if he played. Yeah, it says here, just 2 weeks after he arrived in Germany, Bayern's honorary president, Uli Hoeneß, said the conditions were very unlikely to be met that Jackson would be signed. He'd have to start, not featuring, start 40 games, and that is not including the cup. So that is Bundesliga, which is only just 34 matches because there's less teams, and Champions League. Yeah, it's never going to happen in a side of Harry Kane in. So yeah, I don't think Chelsea were expecting. Maybe Chelsea were expecting that he just really contributed and they liked him and they just tried to sign him. Maybe. He's fallen well short of the numbers required. He's been named in the starting 11 only on 13 occasions, and that is in the aforementioned league and Champions League, with only 1,151 minutes of playing time. That's pretty poor. One of the factors behind that was going away with Senegal, of course, to the AFCON, which he won, but then had taken away, and that's its own story. But to put that figure in perspective, he made 37 appearances, totaling 2,500 minutes for Chelsea last season. Significantly more than double. And that was despite being ruled out with a hamstring injury for months, and also getting suspended for 2 red cards. Yeah, he loved a red card. He was going for a tricky time and fell out with Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager of the time, of course. As The Athletic reported, before the two clubs played in the Champions League group phase 7 months ago, Jackson and his camp were quietly confident the transfer would happen regardless, even if it meant a renegotiation of the terms. So, what happened? It's not as if Jackson performed badly for Bayern. He has a credible 10 goals and 4 assists. In 29 appearances. That's basically a goal involvement every other game. So essentially, that's exactly what he says afterwards. In many ways, Jackson has fulfilled the role of being a backup forward adequately enough. Kane has been in ridiculous form. He really has. 54 ruddy goals. 100 between the front 3, which is incroyable. The opportunity of playing on the left flank was limited too, Luis Diaz plays there. He ain't playing on the left. Head coach Vincent Kompany spoke in defence of Jackson's contribution in March over the 4-1 win over Borussia Mönchengladbach. Aware of Jackson coming under some negative scrutiny, the Bayern manager company said the following, quote, Me. I have to say that I've noticed since I've been here that when everything is going well in the team, there are attempts to single out a player or two without any reason. Last season it was Serge Gnabry, sometimes Kingsley Coman, and now it's Nicolas Jackson. The reality of our dressing room is that it's calm. Nicolas has performed very well in training and replicated it today. It's true that when Kane plays in your position or Michael Olise or Luis Diaz, it's a bit difficult. Nico's got big ambitions though. He sees himself as a big player. There's nothing more. Nico has done very well today, yada yada yada. So when Kane was ruled out of the first leg of the last 16 Champions League Atalanta the following week, Jackson scored and assisted a goal in a remarkable 6-1 win. Unfortunately, it's his very next start against Bayer Leverkusen 4 days later. He was sent off for a reckless challenge with a 2-game ban. Oh, Nico! What are you doing, you sausage? Right, let's land this plane because this is going for a while. Jackson plays in a position that is the most coveted in the game. Manchester United paid 76.5 million for Seshko. Arsenal spent loads of money on Gyökeres. When you consider Chelsea are very unlikely to have the revenue from Champions League football next season, cashing in on players such as Jackson will help fund other purchases. Yeah, I think it's pretty an important thing. They'll make a good profit on him, certainly a massive book profit as well, you'd say. That's not easy. Chelsea haven't made their minds up yet. They are in the process of finding a new coach, and Jackson is the same as all transfers, both in and out the club want to run things past the new coach before making any big calls. Do they though? One of the coaches on Chelsea's wish list is Andoni Iraola, who wanted to sign Jackson for Bournemouth. Oh yeah, didn't he fail medical for Bournemouth? Jackson may have frustrated Chelsea fans with finishing at times, but the team have missed him. Liam Delap, say no more. Cole Palmer lacked a spark, and there was an idea that they played well together, him and Cole Palmer, but Palmer got very frustrated with Nico towards the end, and Joao Pedro is doing very well. No one can deny that, even when he's not scoring like the other day. In the semi-final, he didn't get probably enough credit, certainly from me, with his hold-up play. Joao Pedro is great. He's Chelsea's starting striker, and I'm not even thinking of buying one in my head, which is a huge credit to him. There's always potential for another loan or another option obligation to buy involved, but it feels more likely as a last resort. Well, if they can make anywhere near that loan fee, that was good bit of business. Jackson's future is a major talking point in the summer. We will see what happens to him. Right then, let's talk coaches. First of all, has this got loads of ads on this thing? Let me just try and... There we go. Here he is. TeamTalk.com. Chelsea deeply discuss Italian coach with outstanding 74% win record as an ex-manager. And we do very well with Italian coaches. We just seem to win trophies with them, whether it's Maresca, Ancelotti, Sarri, Conte, of course, Di Matteo, first Champions League win. Not that he was particularly like an influential coach massively. Even Ranieri we liked. Am I missing any attack? I think I've got them. Generally, we do well with Italians, and Chelsea fans like them. So let's read what Graham Bailey is saying on Team Talk Gang. Right. Porto head coach Francesco Farioli has emerged as a strong contender for the vacant Chelsea managerial position, as he's been discussed at great length, gang, by the club bosses as one of the at least 9 options for the job. 9 players. Well, this is Chelsea's hashtag self-reflection time. So I suppose there will be a lot of people being talked about. The Blues are actively searching for a new head coach after the swift dismissal of Leon Rosinia earlier this month, bringing an abrupt end to his short spell in charge. Of course, there was only 106 days. Pretty embarrassing. Rosinia was sent on his way after yada yada. He played bad. Since the sacking, Chelsea have returned to winning ways, beating Leeds in the 1-0 win semi-final of the FA Cup. Of course, Callum McFarlane, hashtag Shane, guiding the Blues through to the remainder of the season. Attention, though, has quickly turned to identifying his long-term successor, with Chelsea's multi-layered sporting structure leading the process. Multi-layered sporting structure. Yep. Cauldron of hot sewage. Co-sporting directors Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart are working alongside Dave Fallows, Joe Shields, and Sam Jewell. Jewell or Jewel? Jewel, maybe a bit of both. Jewel. As part of the collaborative effort to shape the club's next appointment. Well, don't have much faith any of these guys can do anything successfully. Or very little, at least. A number of high-profile names have already been linked, of course. Julian Nagelsmann, who I believe has rejected Chelsea. I read that, I heard that somewhere. Matthias Jasil? Don't know who the ruddy heck that is. Who's that geezer? Who's Matthias Jasil? Guys, am I being stupid? He's the coach of Al Ali in the Saudi Pro League. And he managed Salzburg. Alright. Doesn't really get the juices flowing, if you ask me. Oli Glasner, of course. Andoni Iraola, of course. And Xabi Alonso, of course. And Marco Silva. And former Chelsea players Cesc Fabregas and Felipe Luis. But the shortlist is not yet finalised, and the Blues are keeping an open mind to their search. More names could yet enter the fray. However, Team Talk understands that Farioli, who has won an impressive 37 of his 50 games in charge, giving him a 74% success rate, which is obviously very good, but it's Porto in the Portuguese league. But, you know, he's a young, good Italian manager. It is now firmly in the mix and has been deeply discussed internally as a viable option. Still only 37. Oh my god, he's my age. Imagine me managing Chelsea. Or don't actually. It might be an absolute... I mean... Could I command the respect of Enzo Fernandez as a football manager? No. Right. He's regarded, though, as one of the most progressive young coaches in European football. Oh, that's nice. He began his senior management career at Turkish side Fatih Karagümrük. No run up there, Jesus. At the age of just 31, before moving to Alanyaspor, where he had previously worked as an assistant. His work with Turkey quickly caught wider attention, moving a move to Nice in Ligue 1. Beautiful place, Nice. I've been there a couple of times, and I love it. So, not the worst place to work. Isn't it owned by Ratcliffe? It's Nice, the French club he owns. He's a knobber. From there, he stepped into one of the most demanding roles in Europe at Ajax, where he came agonisingly close to winning the Eredivisie title, only to miss out on the final day. I mean, it does. If you don't, actually no, there are a few big teams in the Eredivisie. Farioli departed Ajax soon after, was appointed by FC Porto, a move that has proven transformative. Against expectations, he guided Porto back to the brink on the title, outperforming rivals like Benfica, side managed by Jose Mourinho, who is still unbeaten, by the way. I said in the second channel, Football Yannick, which is a great time to plug the second channel. If you want non-Chelsea football talk, instead of football therapy, just search Football Yannick. I spoke about the Mourinho return to Real Madrid, which is terribly exciting. But yeah, he's on an unbeaten, invincible season at the moment, Jose's Benfica, and they're still going to probably lose out to Farioli's Porto. His rapid rise has not gone unnoticed. Sources indicate that Farioli's name has been formally put forward to Chelsea's hierarchy, who were already tracking his development closely. He is now very much active on their shortlist as they weigh out the next move. Farioli was questioned recently in these links to Chelsea in an interview with a short and stark reply. Quote, "I'm the coach of Porto, and I'm really happy here." Sources, though, are adamant Farioli is being taken seriously. His name has been taken seriously at Chelsea. The Blues, however, are expected to take their time in making a final decision, but Farioli's reputation is growing across the continent. He is firmly emerging as one of the most intriguing candidates in the frame. Per reports earlier this week, Chelsea's officials have also met with the representatives of a Premier League boss. Well, that could be freaking one of three: Silva, Glasner, or Iraola. Paul Merson. What he talked about Eddie Howe. No one wants to hear that. All right, shut up, Paul Merson. Right, let's move on. Farioli. Tutto bene? Mi chiamo Yannick. La donna beve l'acqua. You know? Mamma mia. Here do we go. When did frickin' Fabrizio Romano get in here? Alright, well, you let me know your thoughts on Farioli. Let's move on. Alright, no Ann Summers ads today, which is terribly disappointing. Let's move over to Caught Offside. Here you go. Breaking! Xabi Alonso open to accepting Chelsea job on one key condition. A key condition. Let's find out what it is. Let's dive in together, shall we? Former Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso is reportedly open to taking the Chelsea job if he's given more control than the Blues are currently offering. Well, we're supposed to be in a period of self-reflection. Self-reflection. Reflects on the self to the point where you give more control to Jan's preferred candidate, Xabi Alonso. Is that too much to ask? It also seems Alonso has some interest in potentially taking over at Chelsea as they continue to hold talks to replace Liam Rosenior. According to Simon Phillips, who obviously we know Si's got Substack, he's well connected. Alonso is open to becoming Chelsea manager, but it seems his key condition has been given as what some sources describe as a bit more control in the role. I think also Chelsea have to start pitching to managers. It's not about managers pitching to them anymore. We've stank out the gaff so much now that to get the good people in, we need to be like, well, all right, we need to give them some more wiggle room, man. Like, surely, don't call me Shirley, you know? The Spanish tactician did a great job in charge of Leverkusen, leading his side to the first ever Bundesliga title, invincible title. And I believe invincible Pokal run, and near invincible Europa League run, just losing 3-0 in the final to Lookman, just tore them apart. But it nearly was an invincible treble. However, Alonso struggled his spell at Real Madrid earlier this season before being sacked, and one can imagine he had a lot less control in his role at the Bernabeu, so he's probably looking for a happy medium now. And I think that's Chelsea, genuinely. Also, you don't have to deal with Mbappe and Vinicius' silly sausage stuff. Do you know what I mean? They're like not tracking back or not wanting to listen to like formulaic, dogmatic, philosophical football. You know, I think he would command the respect of the Chelsea dressing room and they'd do what he says. The Chelsea job is not a simple one. And a lot of fine managers have struggled at Stamford Bridge under this ownership in particular. I would argue we haven't had a lot of fine managers under this ownership. Maresca's quite good. They're trying to take the credit for unearthing him. Pochettino, I never really got overly excited about. He recently did an overlap interview where he confirmed that he was not sacked, that he sort of shook hands and walked away. But, I mean, we're like, if we get Xabi Alonso, that's the first proper juicy hire. Like Potter, Rosinia, Maresca, Pochettino. Pochettino's the closest thing, but even I think he was never like a big trophy winner because his best work was at Spurs. And I think he might be a bit washed as well. So this would probably be the first superstar manager they get, should they get Xabi Alonso. The former Liverpool midfielder might do well to consider waiting for other opportunities, as there's been so much upheaval at CFC with frequent changes to players and managers. I would really like Xabi Alonso. I'll sort of reiterate my position. I think he would command respect of the Chelsea dressing room. I think they'd play for him. I think the fans would probably quite like him. And despite him being, Liverpool ex-star or whatever, it might even be a bit of fun about that because there'd probably be a lot of Scousers who are desperate for him to succeed on the slot. So if he bowls up at Chelsea, there's a lot of fun in that for me. And I really like him, man. I think he would be my preferred candidate. Maybe a Cesc Fabregas afterwards, but I'm not sure if he's done enough. Yeah, he's playing exciting football. He's playing up, and he's a Chelsea legend. Cesc, say he's a legend, probably just about, or a massive cult hero at least. He's adored by Chelsea fans, which would be a bit of a win for the much maligned ownership. But I just think Alonso's the guy. I think you go get him, you go snap up Xabi Alonso, and it's a quick PR win for an ownership and a hierarchy that's struggling to get any affection, understandably, from the Chelsea fan base. But if you just want to think, how does my club Chelsea get better? How do good players like Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo and Joao Pedro and Estevao and all these other kids, want to see them look good and optimised? I would genuinely go with Xabi Alonso personally, and my position's been firm on that for ages. I've said it long before this particular manager search. I've said it since before he went to Real Madrid. When he got sacked by Real Madrid, I said we should just go get this guy. And if he's seriously considering it, that's great news. Let me know your thoughts though. Thank you for liking and subscribing on Football Therapy here on YouTube. For dropping a like and dropping your hype points to help me out in the deep, dark abyss that is the YouTube algorithm. And if you've got a couple more seconds of your time, please do go head over to your preferred podcast app, search Football Therapy Podcast, and give me a follow and 5-star on Spotify and Apple, and I will be forever grateful. Thank you, my friends. Enjoy the football. See you soon, hopefully. Peace.